Hello guys, welcome to my class. As you know, the British showed a more profound interest in sports and in greater variety than any rival. This was chiefly due to the development of the railway network in the UK before other nations, allowing for national newspapers and travel around the country far earlier than in other places. They gave pride of place to such moral issues as sportsmanship and fair play. Cricket became symbolic of the imperial spirit throughout the empire. Football proved highly attractive to the urban working classes, which introduced the rowdy spectator to the sports world. In some sports, there was significant controversy in the fight for amateur purity, especially in rugby and rowing. New games became popular almost overnight, including golf, lawn tennis, cycling, and hockey. Women were much more likely to enter these sports than the old established ones. The aristocracy and landed gentry, with their ironclad control over land rights, dominated hunting, shooting, fishing, and horse racing. Many modern Olympic sports trace their roots back to Britain. In today's class, let's together get to know 4 famous sport games in the UK, including football, cricket, rugby, and tennis. The first ball game I'd like to talk today is football. The modern global game of football evolved out of traditional football games played in England in the 19th century, and today is the highest profile sport in England and Scotland by a very wide margin. Speaking of football in the UK, we will immediately think of a famous star, David Beckham. At 29 years old, he is one of the most famous midfielders in the world. Whether he is playing for Real Madrid or England, he speeds around the pitch in style. Beckham has been kicking a ball around since he could walk. At 8, he was scoring goals for a local team, and aged 11, he was awarded the Bobby Charlton Soccer Skills Award. Even back then, he supported Manchester United. Whenever teachers at school asked him what he wanted to be, the only thing David ever said was a footballer. They might have had their doubts, but he certainly didn't. The Premier League is also very famous. The Premier League is an English professional league for men's association football clubs. At the top of the English Football League system, it is the country's primary football competition. Contested by 20 clubs, it operates on a system of promotion and relegation with the English Football League. Welsh clubs that compete in the English Football League system can also qualify. The Premier League is a corporation in which the 20 member clubs act as shareholders. Seasons run from August to May. Teams play 38 matches each, totaling 380 matches in the season. Most games are played on Saturday and Sunday afternoon, others during weekday evenings. It is known as the Premiership, and outside the UK it is commonly referred to as the English Premier League. The Premier League is the most watched sports league in the world, broadcast in 212 territories to 643 million homes and a potential TV audience of 4.7 billion people. Like association football, rugby union and rugby league both developed from traditional British football games in the 19th century. Rugby football was codified in 1871. Dissatisfaction with the governance of the sport led, in 1895, to a number of prominent clubs establishing what would become Rugby League. The estranged clubs based in mainly working-class industrial regions of northern England, had wished to be allowed to compensate their players for missing work to play matches, but they had been opposed by those clubs that were predominantly middle class and often based in the south of the country. Subsequently, rugby league developed somewhat different rules. For much of the 20th century, there was considerable antagonism towards rugby league from rugby union. One member of parliament described it as one of the longest and the deftest grievances in history, with anyone over the age of 18 associated with rugby league being banned forever from rugby union. This antagonism has abated since 1995, when Rugby Union's international governing body, now known as World Rugby, opened rugby union to professionalism. The third ball game, cricket, is also very popular. We can see the importance of cricket in people's life through this saying, "Summer isn't summer without cricket." It is often played in schools, colleges, universities, and by club teams all over the country. To many Englishmen, cricket is both a game and a standard of behavior. When they consider something unfair, they sometimes say, "That isn't cricket." Cricket is a bat and ball game played between two teams of 11 players each on a cricket field, at the center of which is a rectangular 22-yard-long pitch with a target called the wicket at each end. It seems clear that the English game originated in the sheep-rearing country of the southeast, where the short grass of the downland pastures made it possible to bowl a ball of wool or rags at a target. That target was usually the wicket gate of the sheep pasture, which was defended with a bat in the form of a shepherd's crooked staff. The first and most influential cricket club is the Landwehr's, formed at Hambledon, Hampshire in 1769. The club was sponsored by wealthy patrons, but the players were local tradesmen and farmers. The Hambledon Club established techniques of batting and bowling which still hold today, and Hambledon claims a page in history books as the birthplace of cricket. The wicket-keeper and the batsman wear protective gear because of the hardness of the ball, which can be delivered at a speed of more than 145 km per hour and presents a major health and safety concern. Protective clothing includes pads, batting gloves, or wicket-keeper's gloves for the hands, a safety helmet for the head, and a box inside the trousers. Some batsmen wear additional padding inside their shirts and trousers, such as thigh pads, arm pads, rib protectors, and shoulder pads. On-field clothing generally includes a collared shirt with short or long sleeves, long trousers, woolen pullover if needed, cricket cap or a safety helmet, and spiked shoes or boots to increase traction. The kit is traditionally all white, and this remains the case in Test and first-class cricket, but in limited overs cricket, team colors are worn instead. Besides the former three, tennis is another popular ball game here. It is an Olympic sport and is played at all levels of society and at all ages. The sport can be played by anyone who can hold a racket, including wheelchair users. The modern game of tennis originated in Birmingham, England in the late 19th century as lawn tennis. Tennis is a racket sport that can be played individually against a single opponent or between two teams of 2 players each. The object of the game is to play the ball in such a way that the opponent is not able to play a valid return. The player who is unable to return the ball will not gain a point, while the opposite player will. The rules of tennis have changed a little since the 1890s. There are 4 especially popular Grand Slam tournaments: the Australian Open, played on hard courts; the French Open, played on red clay courts; the US Open, played also on hard courts; and Wimbledon, played on grass courts. Wimbledon is the only one still played on grass. The Championships Wimbledon, commonly known simply as Wimbledon, is the oldest tennis tournament in the world and is widely regarded as the most prestigious. It has been held at the All England Club in Wimbledon, London, since 1877 and is played on outdoor grass courts. The tournament takes place every year in late June and early July. Competitions include men's and women's singles, men's and women's doubles, and mixed doubles. As in the other Grand Slam events, professional players were barred from participation until the late 1960s. Wimbledon became open to all players, amateur and professional, in 1968. Now Wimbledon attracts an attendance of almost 500,000 people. It is certainly acknowledged as the premier tennis tournament in the world. Okay, today we have got to know 4 popular ball games in the UK. The following 2 tasks are for you to check if you have mastered some basic information. Task 1, matching. Task 2, role play. That's all for today. See you next time.